Previously
on KBlend.
Just didn't want to suffer anymore. I don't want my kids to ever feel that way. And like part of me, I remember back then thinking I'm never having kids. I made this box of my childhood trauma, and that's back there. I'm now a successful adult. Like,
yeah.
That's what I told myself.
Yeah.
And then one day you find yourself in a parking lot.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, my wife's unhappy. My kids are unhappy. Like, I'm unhappy. Maybe I'm not as successful as I thought I was. You guys actually care. Like, this is the first place that we've been where it's like, you guys do care and have compassion, and like, there's no judgment. Push this magic button and it's fixed. It's like, this is something that can help, and it's not something that I'll have to take forever. Now where I'm at, like, it's not something that I worry about anymore. Like, somebody could offer me something and I could very confidently say no and hold that boundary, and definitely an autopilot and just going through the motions of life. Now I feel like I'm doing a better job at living it, trying to have actual relationships. Sometimes you just got to ask for the help to be able to break the chain and create a new future for not just you, but everybody after you that you impact.
This is Jesse's story, and it is a powerful reminder that breaking the chain does not begin with pretending you are strong. There is a kind of authority that only comes from passing through the deep and dark and returning with something real to say to those still trapped there. Welcome to the KBlend Show. Honest conversations about God, suffering, survival, recovery, and the realities people face when life falls apart. KBlend is a state-licensed medical practice, and this program is educational in nature. When we reference scripture, history, or older writings, we do so to help interpret the human condition, not to replace individualized medical care, mental health treatment, emergency services, or pastoral counseling. We use these sources alongside responsible medical understanding because human suffering did not begin in modern medicine, and biology is not the whole story. Our goal is not merely temporary relief, but restored capacity, connection, and sustainable change. We care for the whole person, medically, emotionally, relationally, and, when appropriate, spiritually. View us live on www.mykblend.com. Here is your host, Krista Kleider.
Welcome to the KBlend Show. I am Dr. Krista Kleider, your host for today, and I am joined by our friend and guest, Easton. Easton, thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, who are we? KBlend, we treat depression, anxiety, PTSD, OCD, suicidal ideations, and chronic pain syndromes. Chronic pain syndromes could be anything from fibromyalgia to migraines to bad arthritis to back and neck injuries. It could be something like an automobile accident, which we're going to talk about with Easton today. And I am an advanced practice nurse. I have been practicing nursing for over 25 years. I have been a nurse anesthetist for over 15 years and a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner as well. So we have a lot of background in mental health and chronic pain. We see over thousands of patients every year, and we do so many infusions in the whole spectrum. Patients who perhaps can't tolerate antidepressants because of the many side effects, all the way to patients who are wheelchair bound and can't walk anymore. And we're going to again talk about that today. Easton, let's jump right into it here. Where would you, if you could paint a picture for us of where you were before KBlend, what was your life like?
It was pretty rough. I had a very violent accident. It took about a year, beginning of the accident, to my initial amputation. And I did receive the amputation at the end of November. My first prosthetic in about beginning of February. It was not very comfortable to use. It was, I'd say it's more painful. It did more harm than good, it felt like sometimes,
And
especially mentally as well.
Sure. And for the listeners that aren't able to see you, amputation of?
On my left leg below the knee.
Yep.
I also have major sciatic problems. I chipped the tip of the vertebrae off where your neck meets your spine. lower back problems, just nerve damage, I believe, from being hit by a truck. I think with the treatments that I've received here, not only I believe I had 6 treatments, and it made a world of a difference.
Absolutely. And you started with us in July of 2025, so
Mhm.
not quite a year ago. And you received some treatments in July, August, and then again in October.
Mhm.
So haven't had a treatment since October.
Mhm.
But you were describing to us before the show your depression. Now, when you first came to us, it seemed like that life was pretty grim,
Yeah.
that you really had very little hope, that you were not in a good state of mind with everything that had happened, and rightfully so, right? Your body had had this huge trauma,
Mhm.
but your mind as well.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
how would you describe your mental state before you came to KBlend?
I was diagnosed with PTSD and medication-resistant depression. That was a little bit later on. I did a couple trips to the psychiatric ward because of suicidal ideation. The infusions here actually, I think, cured that because I um, quit all medication actually in November of 2025. But I did start back with half of the dose of nerve pain medication, pregabalin, just to kind of maintain, be as comfortable as possible. Because right now I don't have a prosthetic that fits correctly, so it's still a little uncomfortable, a
Mhm.
little inconvenient to use. But I think the infusions alone dropped my pain from, well, my pain scale is probably a little bit higher than most, but it was an 8 to a 10 for me, which is a very high number. Dropped it down to about a 5 or a 6, which is, I'd say, tolerable for me.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mhm.
So before you came to KBlend, you were suicidal.
Yeah.
You didn't want to live. You had no hope. You maybe were at the end of your rope. A lot of people describe it that way. You had been to several psychiatric hospitalizations. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know of any antidepressant medication that actually cures your depression.
No, mine just basically made me numb
Yeah,
and made life not fun. I didn't enjoy
yeah,
any social interactions. I didn't enjoy going out. Just became a recluse essentially.
yeah.
So it just shut everything off, which is not ideal. But
Sure.
I'm back to doing other things. I'm dating. I'm hanging out with friends. I'm cleaning the house and enjoying it.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. And again, you haven't had a treatment since November.
Mhm.
So a lot of people think that, the medications that we use here in the KBlend program, that they're short term, that they're not long lasting, that
Mhm.
they're not actually going to make a difference in your life. But you are walking testimony
Mhm.
that it does. It
Mhm.
can be permanent. It can be sustaining, and the neuroplasticity that the KBlend program gives you in your brain is what makes that possible. So your brain is actually, through the program, we help you to rewire your brain. We help you to be able to think with your whole brain again, right?
Yeah.
Because with trauma and depression, and especially those suicidal ideations, our brain can't handle all that stimulation.
Mm.
So eventually what happens is it shuts down different areas of itself to protect itself, right?
Yeah.
Just like if you were walking through the woods and you saw a bear, your body automatically shuns blood from the gut to the heart and the lungs so you can run away from the
Yeah.
bear, right?
Yeah.
And so day after day of you living in that trauma, reliving that accident, thinking about your leg that you had to have amputated, I'm sure that was unbearable. Unbearable.
It was a definite adjustment to life. But again, the infusions were, I'd say 80%, 75% of that did 75% of the work for me. But I still had to put in work myself.
Absolutely. And thank you for bringing that up. So what type of things did you do outside of your treatments to work through that part of the program?
Just push through. Do things you're not usually comfortable with.
Yeah.
Get out of your comfort zone. Have a social circle that's willing to help you and push you as well.
Absolutely. And you stole the term, get out of your comfort zone, right? We do a lot of preaching about that, absolutely, during your treatments, because we want you to get the maximum benefit from the program. And part of that is pushing yourself outside of the boundaries that you've set. So instead of burying yourself under the covers every day in your bedroom, right, we get you up, we get you moving, we get you doing things and enjoying life again. And that is so awesome. And you expressed this to me via text message the other day that, your social circle has widened again, that you're able to, how old are you?
31, 32, 31, 32
Okay.
this year.
Okay, awesome. And so are you feeling though like you're only 31? I mean, or are you feeling like you're 51? How 51, are we feeling?
I used and abused in sports and
okay.
a lot of outdoor activities as a kid.
Okay. But with your social network and all that you're doing right now, how are you feeling?
Great. It's actually nice to go out and do and enjoy things again.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So, so before the program, you painted a very grim picture of where you were at. During the treatments, what was your first interaction with the KBlend team when you first came in through the doors?
Well, you guys were so welcoming. It was insane. Yeah, no, there it is. You guys were very welcoming and assuring.
And trying to coach you through the program for sure, because I know it's a very scary thing when you first come to a program like ours, right? Like, can you trust us? Are we legit?
Is it going to work? Yeah.
Yeah. Are we actually a state certified medical facility? Does the provider, myself, do I actually care about you? Do we actually understand what we're doing?
Yeah.
And so we work very, very hard to push that onto you so that way you know that you're safe, you know that you can trust us, you know that you can be comfortable in yourself here, right? In mental health, we get so used to wearing a mask everywhere we go, right? So whether you go to the store, whether you go out with your social network, whether you just see your parents on a day-to-day basis, we put that mask on, we put that fake smile on, and we go out and we try to pretend to be somebody that we're not.
Yeah, which is, I had to do that quite often. It was pretty difficult.
Did you feel like you had to do that at KBlend?
No, not at all.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Just with family and stuff, you got to put on.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them to see me hurting, so.
Yeah.
And I came in here usually limping pretty hard. And after every infusion, John can attest that I was walking like just a normal leg again. And that lasted for weeks.
Yes.
And that was just, I only came in for mental health infusions. Not just I didn't come in for the pain infusions. They worked for both, for me at least.
That's amazing. So would you say that you have any suicidal ideations now?
No, I haven't had any since probably end of 2024. Maybe beginning of 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And we are in the beginning of, almost June.
Yeah.
Almost June. So 6 months nearly, your suicidal ideations have been quieted. And
Completely.
yet before KBlend, you had gone to several psychiatric hospitals.
3 or 4 different times, yeah.
Oh my goodness. And none of those treatments had helped you.
No, they just kept pushing more and more prescriptions, and yeah, it just was not something that I was looking for. I was tired of I was taking up to 14 or 15 different prescriptions daily, sometimes 3 or 4 times of that prescription, and it was just not what I wanted to do.
And now you're only on your muscle relaxant, no other psychiatric medications.
I do take anxiety medication as needed, but I haven't had to take it in about a month and a half.
Well, praise God. Praise God. And you feel like you're healed. You feel like that you are restored. You're on the recovery path for depression,
definitely,
for anxiety, for those suicidal ideations. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. So let's talk about, and you said that after the KBlend program that you have a bigger social network, you're actually doing things. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Do you see yourself being even more successful than you are today? Are you able to picture a future? Because a lot of times,
I finally can, yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of times when we're in the ruts or, the trenches of depression and anxiety, we can't see a future. We can't even
Yeah.
talk about it.
It took me, and some days it took me hours to get out of bed. I had to play some really, gym music sort of thing to amp myself up just to get to the bathroom, and with help of the therapist as well, set up a plan. So it's usually like, just get up, pick out a set of clothes, and put them in the bathroom. And since you're already in the bathroom, you might as well, you're going to feel better, take a shower. And since you put the clothes on, the sink's right there, you might as well just brush your teeth. And that slow progression along with the infusions, I think, really set me on the right path.
Absolutely. Do you still think about that routine every day? Do you have to push yourself, or is
No.
it more natural?
It's completely natural now.
That's amazing. Wonderful.
We will be right back with more of Easton's story. This week, if you sign up on our website, www.mykblend.com, before the end of this show, you can get your first month of online access for free. Normally, we do not expose our social community unless you have a credit card and make payments. The paywall helps protect our patients who share their stories and ensures a safe environment where we can all be honest without our masks. However, we have a few select patients that have agreed to expose themselves without payment verification. Obviously, this will be a very limited opportunity as we use payment information to help maintain the safe environment for everyone. The KBlend Truth Book is a very exclusive community that solves the problem of other social media platforms. Rather than gathering for romance or worthless conversation on other websites that expose us to the world, Truth Book is the safe place to find useful relationships that do not require masks or fake smiles. On that other book, your goal is to look good. Truth Book is your place of authentic relationship that can alter your life. Visit www.mykblend.com today and join a social community built by those who are living life.
Tried to quit drinking on my own. I've tried to feel better on my own. My mom just had enough.
Sam was not trying to sound religious. She told truth about life when it falls apart.
I was lashing out. I tried to kill myself, and I have a young child, and I had a husband who loved me very deeply, and it would have destroyed my family. But the attempt was made, and I got put into a psychiatric hold, and I didn't know what to do when I came out. Nothing had changed. I still felt the same. I still wanted to be gone. It felt like I hit rock bottom.
Then Sam's mom found KBlend.
Voices stopped, the negativity stopped, the impulses, the depression got better, the urge to drink felt better. I just felt better. I looked forward to my other treatments, even though it was scary and it's hard work. You have to learn how to let go. And it's a lot harder than it sounds to do. John and you coached me through it, and I ended up just letting go.
As we learn to live honestly, we are also being prepared to walk through the valleys life will bring.
Totally different person. My family notices, my friends, my colleagues. When I lost my husband recently in March, I've never felt pain like that before and figured there's nothing that could be done.
Sam had already begun to recover, but when this loss came, it struck the very places where life had started to become steady again. He was not only the man she loved, he had become a steady place for her daughter, a shelter in her recovery, and part of the life she had hoped for.
It was just me and my daughter till she was 9 years old because her father has a drug addiction, so we cut that out, and it's just been the two of us. It's the first man she's ever met that I dated. He became a great stepfather right away. They hit it off. Everything I ever wanted finally came true after being alone for so long. Marriage isn't perfect, but it was perfect for us. We really had a big stepping stone in my mental health. I couldn't have done it by myself. My family started to turn on me, but he didn't. He knew something was wrong. We just couldn't figure out what it was. I put him through the ringer, just like I did everyone else. He stuck by me and he helped me, trying to figure out what's wrong, how to fix it.
With a single phone call, everything changed.
They think he had some type of medical emergency and he ran into a tree on the way back to pick me up. And it was a fatal car accident. I got to the scene and I got instantly sick.
Sam describes the kind of shock that overwhelms the body, the mind, and the soul. And when the pain went deeper than she could imagine, she found herself slipping back into old ways of surviving.
I went into the shock. I can't remember anything except for just drinking. And I couldn't even get drunk. I was so emotionally upset. It was just like emotion that made me feel better just by doing it, because that's what I'm used to. When I'm happy, I drink. When I'm sad, I drink. When something's hard, I drink. If I celebrate, I drink. This was back in March, and then I had friends and family come stay with me for a couple months. They would take shifts about a week at a time and keep an eye on me because they were scared I was going to do something or resort back to who I was. And understandably so, I was really upset. I didn't talk much. It just was full of tears and drinking. I would wake up and I'd wake people up to me opening my drinks. I would drink all morning, all afternoon, sleep a little bit, drink some more. I stopped eating. I reverted back to my old behaviors. I couldn't take being alive during that. I've suffered loss. I lost my cousin to an overdose, my stepbrother to an overdose. My grandpa, who was like my dad, I lost 3 years ago. So we've been hit with loss after loss, but I've never felt one like this. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how I would live anymore without him. He was such a big part of my life and my daughter's life. And
But even in that collapse, something had changed. Sam recognized that if she was going to survive this kind of pain, she had to return to what had already begun to bring real healing.
to be honest, it took me right back to wanting to die because it was so traumatic. But, I got my treatment. I slowed down. I got my reset, and I decided to start just giving it to God and praying. And I'm not a religious person, I would say. I'm spiritual. I believe in God. I just don't do the religious part of it, and I actually started going to AA, and so I've opened my spiritual awareness a little bit more.
KBlend is about more than saying good things about God. It is about learning to encounter Him in the deepest and darkest places, where He becomes not a distant idea or a wish granter, but the true satisfier of the soul. And for those who want to understand how that healing is supported clinically, Sam's full conversation with Dr. Krista also explores the medical side of trauma, shock, and how treatment is carefully applied at KBlend. To hear the full story, visit www.mykblend.com.
I want to help others that have the same problem I have, that know they're not alone, and there is something that works that's not conventional. And it's probably, you're not going to believe it until you try it, but there is something. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to wait until you want to kill yourself. You don't have to sit and suffer every single day.
Welcome back to the KBlend Show. I'm John Kleider, the director of the KBlend program, and I had the opportunity to speak with Easton during his first call to KBlend. The nerve pain is what I recall the most. You had friends and various things you were looking to try out.
Yeah, you saved. I want to say you saved my skin pretty quick. I was going down probably a bad path with bad suggestions of using other substances or trying narcotics again. I don't really like taking opiates, but they were offering me those. They weren't that effective, and I know they're highly addictive, so I just tried to avoid those as much as possible. I've had 6 doctors tell me to try separate things.
Interestingly enough, nobody wants you to come try what works.
Yeah. My, let's see, before I came here, the last suggestion was to get, I believe it's a cortisone shot in my lower lumbar every 3 months. And that would put me out of commission for about 2 to 3 days. And it would work up to 6 to 8 weeks. And I had to do that continuously the rest of my life.
And we actually have treatments that do work.
Yeah.
Nobody's pushing anesthesia as the first line medications. What makes KBlend so different is that we're willing to use medications in the safety of a community that is capable of vulnerability.
It's a treatment. Yeah. You teach me how to use the medication efficiently.
We have the right process, actually, is what we do. And what John isn't sharing with you is that before we opened the KBlend clinic, we had been to several other clinics in my training for this. And I didn't write down the things that I should do. I wrote down everything I wasn't going to do with our patients.
Yeah.
And so learning from those clinics of how not to do certain things was paramount for us to develop the KBlend program. You know, the national average for our treatments, about 80% of patients out there will see a difference with the treatments that we give.
That's amazing.
But with the KBlend program, we are closer to 90% success rate.
Wow.
So when you take an antidepressant, you only have about a 30 to 40% chance your first initial 2 or 3 medications that you take to actually see an improvement in your symptoms.
Yeah, and it's not even generally a good improvement. It could just be you don't feel anything at all, or there's other side effects that are really affecting you in your relationships or whatever else happens with the side effects.
Yep, absolutely.
Another big green flag for me is before I even began treatment here, you guys drug tested. I think that was very comforting knowing that.
Yep.
No, not like this isn't like a drug peddling place. This is a very professional upscale.
Yes.
Yeah. So that put my mind at ease pretty quick, and I was really excited to begin treatment.
I don't even know what to say. At the end of the day, you've changed so much. I remember the hopelessness of our first call. We probably spoke over an hour that first day on the phone.
Yeah. Dark time.
I could sense the darkness on the other side of the phone that day. I'm not a provider, but somehow I'm humbled to have a small part to play.
You did, just a conversation.
It is amazing how that works. It's not the medications, but it's all the things that we do to support you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's a testimony to why the KBlend community gets results.
I think you can tell how happy I am that I took this treatment based on my reaction right now.
We all cry. It's just part of how the body heals, part of living life to the fullest.
Giving me that new outlook on life again, that I can see the future finally.
If you can't cry, or the crying you're doing is not productive, you're missing out on the beauty and precious things that life has to offer. If you want to see our conversation here in the KBlend studios, visit us www.mykblend.com. Or if you can relate to the disconnection from the precious things of life, don't hesitate to call us 734-605-8500. That's mykblend.com.
We will be right back with more of Easton's story. This week, if you sign up on our website, www.mykblend.com, before the end of this show, you can get your first month of online access for free. Normally, we do not expose our social community unless you have a credit card and make payments. The paywall helps protect our patients who share their stories and ensures a safe environment where we can all be honest without our masks. However, we have a few select patients that have agreed to expose themselves without payment verification. Obviously, this will be a very limited opportunity as we use payment information to help maintain the safe environment for everyone. The KBlend Truth Book is a very exclusive community that solves the problem of other social media platforms. Rather than gathering for romance or worthless conversation on other websites that expose us to the world, Truth Book is the safe place to find useful relationships that do not require masks or fake smiles. On that other book, your goal is to look good. Truth Book is your place of authentic relationship that can alter your life. Visit www.mykblend.com today and join a social community built by those who are living life again through KBlend.
Some trauma that happened to me in my home.
After suffering strokes, Susan struggled with balance.
I had a very difficult time processing. I really needed help. After I had the strokes, I would drag my foot and my balance was off.
The first treatment changed everything.
first day, I felt the fog starting to clear. I feel so good now. When can I have the next one? And I'm like, am I supposed to wait? Or am I supposed to just go on? And that's where you guys come in. And my mom said, you are back.
Her husband remembers the moment her mother looked at him.
I looked at her mom, and her mom looked at me and said, we got our girl back.
We got our girl back. Stories like Susan's are why KBlend exists. You can hear Susan's full story right now at kblend.com. And if you or someone you love is struggling, you don't have to face it alone. Call the KBlend helpline, 734-605-8500. That's 734-605-8500. The KBlend helpline is ready for your call.
So through your accident, did you ever find yourself angry at God or angry at the person who hurt you? Or
No.
That's amazing.
I just, like I made the joke prior to the podcast, he owes me a steak or a beer. I just want a conversation with him just to see why.
Yeah.
But I'll never get that answer, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah. That's amazing. Not too many people can feel that way about something that you've been through and be able to process through that situation, right? So, so looking back, if you had to sum up your healing journey in one sentence, what would you say?
It's definitely made me a lot better of a person and a lot stronger. And I think I can do more than I thought I could previously.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes when we're in the trenches again of depression and anxiety, we put ourselves in boxes, right? Like
I lock myself in that box.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes some people's boxes are bigger than other people's, but it can be life-changing when we realize that we are actually the ones who hold the key.
Yeah, that was a hard thing. Hard to find that key, but it was there.
Yeah. And so through the treatments, do you think that's how you found your key to let yourself back out of the boxes?
Definitely. It also helped me deal with a lot of work-related trauma stuff as well. Not just my mental health about the accident, just my mental health in general, actually.
Mm-hmm.
From dealing with stuff at work. I worked the MSU shooting. That was a big thing to go through, and I think I fixed that in my first session. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty traumatic event, and I was able to talk about it and joke about it. That's not the right word to use, but talk about it freely and openly.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's not an easy thing to go through when your life is in danger like that, right?
Yeah.
And you had already been through that traumatic accident where your life was in danger, and then you're in the middle of the campus shooting.
Mm-hmm.
That must have been traumatic. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, that was in 2022.
Okay. Wow. And so did you start any schooling, or did you start any job training or anything after the treatments?
Yeah, going back for my GED.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
I already passed my science and social studies exam. I have my English and math left.
Wow, that's amazing. Did you ever think you would be able to accomplish that goal?
No, because I would load into it. I would do it for 3 or 4 minutes, and I'm like, what the F am I doing? I feel dumb. Why am I even trying this? What doesn't matter?
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, I got one done. Okay. Kind of gives you the forward momentum. Keep doing more.
Yeah. Are you able to concentrate better? Like on your program as you're working through your
definitely,
program?
because I'm not distracted through just my sad thoughts or my pain, especially. Because my pain was a major distraction.
Yeah.
I couldn't hang out socially. If I was socially, I wasn't present. I was just dealing with trying not to lose my crap.
And your anxiety, you described a little bit about how your pain has changed. So you were at like a 9 or 10 or 8 to 10, I think you said.
Yeah.
Now you're like a 5 or a 6, right? How has your anxiety changed? Like, did it used to be so gripping that, like, some people describe it as they're being choked and the chest pain and the pressure? And did you ever experience anxiety like that? Or describe to me how your anxiety has changed.
It feels like I'm being chased by a bear.
Ah, okay.
So, heart starts immediately pounding. The
Yeah.
lung, I feel like I'm not getting enough air. I'm starving of air, I guess. And it just feels like a full-blown heart attack. I just can't. And you can't, once it starts, you can't stop it. You have to ride it out for 2-3 hours before
Sure.
you can get a grasp on it. And even though you know it's irrational and what it is, it still doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Yes.
It just sucks.
Yep. Because your brain is in that loop, right? Your brain is in that survival loop. And so once it starts to go down that fight or flight mode, you can't pull yourself out, whether you are like, no, this is safe. It's okay. It's not what I think it is. You can't stop your brain from going down that route.
But I think since I've had my infusions, I've definitely been able to, they do not last more than 10, 15 minutes. So they're not nearly as severe. I could actually kind of get a grasp on it. And once I do, I get my breath back, and then I can relax my shoulders and then relax my body. So once the body relaxes, then your mind can relax.
Now you can coach yourself through it since the KBlend treatments. Okay. How long did they last before the treatments?
2 to 3 hours.
Oh my goodness. And now they last 10 to 15 minutes?
Yeah, I can usually get a hold on them by then, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Huge improvement.
I haven't had a long panic attack in probably close to a year.
Wow, that's amazing. And you have been with KBlend for less than a year. So, so they started changing, sounds like, with the treatments and have continuously improved. Wow, that's amazing. So your sleeping and your eating, how did those change with the KBlend program? Did you see any improvement with those?
Yeah, with once my depression started getting better, when I was depressed, I would some days go without eating, and then I would feel sick, and then I would have to force myself to eat. I'd also lay in bed or sleep 12 to 14 hours. I'd lay in bed for 2 or 3 hours before I even got out of bed. I would go 2 or 3 days without showering. I always brush my teeth, though, because teeth are expensive, and they scared me. I don't want to have bad teeth, down the road. So I always try to maintain those. But with the infusions, and I think with therapy as well, that's also given me an extra tool.
Yep.
So, and actually, I think getting the infusions here kind of gave me the gall to seek therapy.
Absolutely.
Which is often hard to do as a male.
For sure.
Just talking about emotions sometimes is hard.
Yeah. And yet here you are on the radio, sharing with hundreds of people who are listening right now.
Cheering up like a man.
And on our podcast who are watching you. And so you're sharing your emotions and you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And you know that there's somebody out there who's listening right now who can relate to your story in one way, shape, or form. Maybe they haven't had a limb amputated like you have, but maybe it's been a bad accident. Maybe it's been those suicidal ideations that you just feel like you're at the end of your rope with nowhere else to turn. Hopelessness, severe hopelessness.
I feel like that was one of the first things that got fixed for me personally with my infusions.
Yes.
That was within 2 or 3 treatments, I immediately noticed the difference.
Yes. And based on medical literature, with our KBlend treatments, we know that there's about an 80% reduction in one infusion in suicidal ideations, 80%. Wow. So immediately those suicidal ideations are quieted, maybe not gone, but quieted. Yeah. And then every infusion thereafter, they continue to reduce.
And that was, I think, that was probably ideal, actually, because then I could focus less on that and more on just some of the stuff that I didn't deal with in my past, and then focus on my pain as well. So I can't recommend this place enough. These infusions were life-changing.
Yeah. Did you ever have a death date with your suicidal ideations?
I never let it get that far.
Okay.
As soon as I noticed that those thoughts were becoming too real, I immediately checked in.
Yep. Absolutely. Good. You know, we have so many patients who wait until they have a death date.
Yeah, or a
And
plan, and that's when it gets
absolutely
too real.
Yeah. And we have so many patients who come in and start their treatments and then share with us after. If I hadn't started treatments, you hadn't coached me through this, I wouldn't be here right now because my death date was 2 days ago.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. It is absolutely life-changing for us as well, all of us that work here at the KBlend program. And so as you were going through these suicidal ideations, the depression, the anxiety, what made you eventually call KBlend? Who reached out? Was it you? Was it your family member?
I reached out. I was talking to a friend. He's a W amputee that I met on TikTok. He's also into motorcycles like I was. And he's gone through a whole list of things. He doesn't have that option. He doesn't have the infusion option in Texas yet, I believe. But he's did research into it, and his wife is a nurse, and she's also heard good things about it. He also does not like prescription medication like opiates because they're addicting, just like me. So he just suggested I just take a look into that, maybe just peek into it. It can't hurt just to do some research, and then I think I found you guys and gave you guys a call within that week.
Okay.
And then we started treatment pretty quick.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we actually discourage when people call is spending too much time doing research, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many bad things out there about different treatment modalities, whether it's programs like the KBlend program, whether it's, something else, another treatment modality for mental health or chronic pain. We jump to conclusions quite easily when we see things on social media.
Yeah.
And we have to be careful with that. Where you want to go is the medical literature, and we can supply that medical literature for people that are interested in programs like the KBlend program that actually show real patients who have been through real programs like ours. And so I'm thankful that when you heard about programs like the KBlend program, that you didn't spend too much time researching and looking at the negatives of the programs like ours that are out there, because that can get a little sticky.
Yeah, and believe it or not, Reddit was a big positive push.
Okay.
Because there was people that have had the treatments done, and that's been pretty much an overwhelmingly positive responses about it. So I figured I did some research of some local ones, some that looked better or worse than others, and I feel like this place just felt homey. And you guys were so amazing, so I figured this was it.
Excellent.
It was the location for me.
Good. And when you first walk into our clinics, we try to portray anything but a medical clinic. So you'll notice no white walls anywhere in our facilities.
You got great feng shui.
Yes. Excellent. That's what we intended. So thank you. So if there's somebody listening out there right now who doesn't believe anything that you're saying because they're saying, oh my gosh, this guy has to be paid. There's no way that there's a program out there that can actually help me. I'm too broken. I'm too far gone. It's not going to work. Nothing else has worked. What would you say to that person?
Well, felt exactly the same way. And the only way for them to really know is to try it. I've been down in a pretty deep hole. Everybody says there's a basement, but there's always another hole in the basement. And I was in that hole. So if you were that far down, what do you have to lose? Give it a try.
Absolutely. I had one patient describe it that they were the crack of a 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 rock of a bigger boulder and they kept going on and on and on. And it's like, that's how far down that I am.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that, but I can tell you that we have treated thousands of patients that are walking in your shoes.
Shoe.
Chew. One chew.
But yeah, I don't think there's any negative side effects to it. I think it's something you need to just give it a shot.
Mhm.
If you're that far down, you feel that helpless, I think it's definitely worth a shot. I wouldn't recommend any other form of treatment for the stuff that I went through, for the pain, for the depression, for the suicidal ideation. This was it for me. This worked amazing.
Absolutely. And again, your pain from a 8 to 10 every day on the pain scale down to a 5 or a 6. That is half of the pain. Plus, you're taking less pain medication, only a muscle relaxant now.
Mm-hmm.
How many pain medications were you taking when you first started the KBlend program? Do you remember?
Lord, I was maxing out pregabalin, so I was taking 900 milligrams of that a day, 120 milligrams of Cymbalta a day, 30, I believe, milligrams of oxycodone. Sometimes I would take 5 of those instead of 3, depending how bad the day was.
Sure.
Which is another really scary reason why I didn't want to take them. Taking, I believe, 2 separate muscle relaxers, Flexerol and methocarbamol.
Okay.
Not 100% sure if I was taking both simultaneously or not, but I'm just on the Flexerol now to take as needed, especially for long car rides or if I'm going to be active that day. Like I went to Ren Fair, so I knew I'm going to be walking quite a bit. I need to take, just preemptively. But it gets me through the day just fine. I don't need any pain medication. I don't need anything.
Yeah, that's amazing. And how far of a car ride did you have today to come and record with us?
Hour and 20 minutes.
And how was your pain when you got here?
About a 4.
Okay. So
Actually,
manageable.
Tolerable, yeah.
Tolerable. Okay.
My
All
pain
right.
scale's a little bit, I think, higher than most people's, but you do kind of get used to the pain, I guess, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Since it's the same type of pain continuously, you just kind of, it's like just listening to Christmas music if you work at a retail store. You tune it out a little bit. That's the best way to explain it.
I love that. That's great. No, that's perfect. And have you been diagnosed, or do you feel that it's phantom limb pain? Is that what you would call a good quantity of your pain, or?
No, I had that for the first 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
But this is just nerve pain from my sciatica down from my left butt cheek and all the way down to the end of my stomach.
Okay.
Behind my knee and
Okay.
down to about half of the calf that I have left.
Got it. Okay. So no phantom limb pain anymore?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if that attributed to this, the infusions, but if it did, that's another good check to have on there.
Yeah.
The doctors, no real support. There was still nothing that was helping it. I didn't know what to do to help her either, especially, not really understanding how she's feeling.
The story began with one sentence: you do not understand.
If you have anxiety, okay, take this. If you have bipolar, take this. And then you tell them like all of these things are not working. And then they're like, okay, well, basically I got deemed like this is a complicated case. They don't know what to do. I felt kind of helpless. And it's not that I didn't feel like anybody cared. I felt like nobody understood exactly what I meant when I explained how I felt. And my mom tried to help me as much as she could, but she didn't know what else to do. I mean, we've exhausted all options, and in and out of jail, in and out of the hospital. There was no helping me. You couldn't really do anything to help me if you didn't understand.
You would hear that several times a day. You just don't understand. You just don't understand. It's like, I'm trying to understand, but...
And once that belief takes over, separation starts to feel necessary. If no one understands me, then I have to protect myself from everyone, even the people trying to help me. And once a person enters survival mode, almost anything can be justified, because emergency sets aside the rules. That is when a family begins to lose access. Love is still there, help is still being offered, But the suffering person is now living behind a survival wall.
Point probably when she was 14, it seemed like she was almost having like a nervous breakdown. I took her to a mental health hospital. She stayed there for almost a week, and from 14 until we came here, she tried several different medications, maybe 20 or more different hospitalizations. She got into a lot of trouble, been to jail several times. She spent a birthday in jail. Honestly, I didn't think that she would make it into her 20s. I thought she'd be dead before then.
That is the terror of watching a child slip away. And when families live there long enough, it is easy to start writing the person off. What if some of the behavior families are ready to give up on is actually coping? Not healthy coping, not harmless coping, not coping that should be excused, but coping that tells us something important. Underneath the behavior, the person is still trying to survive.
Alcohol is always the thing that was readily available, I guess, and it was easy to turn to that because it made me feel, I guess, no anxiety, confident. It was almost like it was my friend, basically, which is sad to say, but I turned to that since I was 12, and ever since then, up until about 2022, I kind of just like lost myself, I think. I just felt disconnected from reality and disconnected from myself. I felt alone, and going through high school, went through a lot of different things, but I think it was mainly the trauma that really kind of made me bury myself. That was where it all started, is just as a child feeling alone and just feeling this like inner emptiness from the things that I experienced, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to process my emotions in the correct way, so I turned to alcohol, and it didn't help me. It just kind of numbed me in a way.
But survival does not stay contained. At first, it separates a person from family. You don't understand me. Then it separates them from honesty. I just have to get through today. Then it starts separating them from God. And when spiritual intimacy fades, the person does not only lose faith in God, they begin losing touch with themselves.
I think angry at God was one of the biggest things, because I always questioned, if there actually is a God, why are things like this for me? Like, why me? And I'd always ask, how is that fair? Like I said, if there is a God, why would my life end up this way? Why would I have to suffer? And then I kind of just stopped believing in God and lost touch with that and lost touch with myself. So I didn't believe in anything. I didn't even believe in myself.
That is the brink. When coping has not only failed to save the person, it has started teaching them how to disappear. For Astacia, the first sign of hope was not a speech, a promise, or a perfect plan. It was the moment fight mode quieted enough for her to realize, someone actually sees me.
I think initially I was mind blown, because it was almost like a shock to have providers actually care about your well-being and not just say that they care. I think the best way to explain it is this place treated me like I was family. The way you guys approached helping me, it was a shock from being thrown medications to what are your needs, how can we help you, having somebody guide me through every step, making sure I'm comfortable. It was a really different experience, and it finally felt different than anything I've ever been offered, and it felt real, and it definitely surpassed my expectation of what this was going to be like, and it felt like I was finally being listened to.
Relationship makes treatment possible. When fight mode begins to quiet, the first few treatments can touch places that years of therapy, arguments, pleading, and pills may never have reached.
It was the 4th treatment, and I just felt like my entire outlook on life changed. My thought process went from, if I have a negative thought, it's immediately like corrected by a positive thought. I started doing different things that I don't normally do. Stepping outside of my comfort zone, talking to strangers, I don't do that. Riding my bike, just doing different things that I don't normally do. It mostly was just the thoughts of like appreciating the small things. I don't want to say euphoria, but it's almost like a euphoria of like you walk outside, the sun is shining, and you're like, today's gonna be a good day. I appreciate all these things, and it's like a self-realization of like, I'm happy to be alive and I made it this far, and it's like, wow, I felt like a completely different person.
Maybe
different.
Maybe instead of euphoria, is it just living in the moment?
Yeah, it was almost like I dissociated for so long that it felt like I came back into my body, and it felt like I was here again. I wasn't just...
You were present.
Surviving, I was here, and my body connected to myself.
When one person in a family has been living behind the survival wall, the whole family has been surviving too. Before we hear Astacia talk about purpose, we need to hear Jody describe what the family had been carrying. Because hopelessness had not only taken hold of Astacia, it had spread through the house.
Was she spiraling and feeling hopeless? So were we. It was a battle for all of us. Depressing, feeling hopeless, not knowing what to do, or, are we ever going to come out of this? Is she ever going to have a normal life? And are we ever going to have a normal life? Not knowing. And it is hopeless. And when you go to different doctors and different therapy and different medications and you try all these things and you get nothing. And even like with Astacia, she would, go to a therapist and go through all these things that she's been through. And it's like, okay, now what? I've told you, she would say, I don't want to tell anybody else. I don't want to tell anybody else the same thing that I've been saying because it doesn't work. Nothing is working.
Astacia was not simply feeling a little better. A family that had been organizing itself around fear was beginning to see her return. And once she was no longer spending all her energy just surviving, something else started to surface. Purpose.
In a way, carrying on the legacy, I see myself, I guess, being a voice for people that have gone through the same thing as me, not only in this type of situation, but also with addiction, recovery, as well as I'm going to write a book. I'm working on it right now. It's taken a while. I think really I'm just going to be a positive influence on other people once I fully work through what I need to work through, and just be the light that lifts everybody up. I think I'm going to be somebody that people will remember for the things that I've said and stuff like that. I just want to be somebody that people remember when I'm not here.
Mom, how does that make you feel? You're smiling over there.
Yeah, I see it. I told her, you didn't experience all these traumatic, horrible things for no reason.
Right.
You went through all these things so that you can share with other people and help them get through it. And
someone listening has a spouse, child, friend, or relative that they have started to write off. They may look rebellious, unreachable, or like they do not care anymore. Astacia and Jody's full interview with Dr. Krista is available now at www.mykblend.com. And if this story sounds like someone you love, KBlend begins with a consultation, not a rushed appointment, not minutes on a clock, but a real conversation about what is happening underneath the symptoms, underneath the coping, and underneath the fight mode. Because relationship makes treatment possible, call the helpline at 734-605 8,500.
Overall, your activities have picked back up through the KBlend program, through getting the treatments.
Definitely.
Are you actually enjoying them, or do you find that you're putting on the fake mask, the
No,
fake smile?
I'm actually enjoying them again. I look forward to getting on the computer, hanging out with some friends, playing some video games for a couple hours, or going to go just to get food, or go to the lake and walk around the best of my ability, or just any social interaction. Go to my friend's house, play some pool, or go to bowling, or just do normal things.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And I never would have thought I'd enjoy those things again.
For sure. Or have the confidence, maybe. Was it hard, like you said, going bowling, like as an amputee? Did you ever feel like maybe people were looking at you that I can't do that? That's too physically active for me?
No.
Did you ever put those limitations on yourself?
That personally never bothered me, no.
Okay.
Usually, I make jokes about it. I get asked if I'm a veteran a lot. I say, yeah, Vietnam. It's a joke. I also, when a kid, I can hear them asking, usually like gas station lines, oh, Mom, what happened to his leg? Like, oh, I didn't eat my vegetables, or I didn't listen to my mother. And then his mom cracks up laughing. But for my friends' kids that know me, I just tell them that my leg got sick and doctors needed to fix me.
Yeah.
So to make me better, they needed to get rid of the sick part of me.
Yeah.
It's been pretty easy to explain.
Yeah.
And my favorite story so far that I've came up with is I saved a bus of nuns from a bear. That was a good one. Shark attack is too boring.
That's great. No, that's wonderful that you've taken a very serious situation that could have been detrimental for you mentally, physically, and you've completely changed it around, and you're accepting of it. You're living life with it. You're accelerating with it, being successful with it. So again, praise God that you're here, that you're willing to share your story, because somebody out there is really suffering right now. So if you know somebody who has been through a similar situation of what Easton has been through, maybe it's severe depression treatment resistant, maybe it's suicidal ideations where you've been in and out of psychiatric hospitals and you just feel like that there's no other hope, that you're completely hopeless right now. There's nowhere to turn. Nothing has been helpful. Doctors aren't helpful, programs aren't helpful, therapy is not helpful, all the traditional stuff that's out there is not working. What do? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You call the KBlend helpline right now, 734-605-8500. Easton has been sharing with us during this radio show that he has had amazing, life-changing results from the KBlend program over and over and over again. And those of you listening might think that we're making this up, that it's not real. But every Saturday at 1 o'clock on WMUZ, we are here to share testimonials of our patients who volunteer to come in and listen and to share their stories for you to listen to. They're real stories, real patients, real testimonials of where their life was, how they went through the KBlend program, and after the KBlend treatments, how they feel now. And it has been life-changing for you.
Without a doubt. I don't know if that's a big enough word to use.
Oh, well, I so appreciate your time that you've spent talking with us today. And I want you to give us a call again if you can relate, 734-605-8500. We are here to listen to your story, see if the KBlend program is right for you. So give us a call today.
I promise you won't regret it. It's life-changing.